Yo, welcome back to the Blue Dot. All right, let's go in detail with this chat today. I'm going to show you some of the craziest things I've been doing it lately. So let's just get into it. So I use it to look at crypto a lot. So let's just start out with crypto global stats. So we want to look at big picture stuff, total market cap, trading volume, Bitcoin dominance. So we can see Bitcoin dominance down to 55%. So we've seen a pretty big drop in that over the last, however long. One thing I'm going to show too is if we go over, I'm actually going to start a new tab. So let's go look at the Explore data. So we can look at all these different data sets here. So one of them I want to look at is Bitcoin dominance. So we can go to Bitcoin dominance, click that. Here we go. So you can see this really substantial drop over the last the last month or two. So we've seen ETH rally big time while Bitcoin dominance is dropping. So we can click benchmark here. Let's check out ETH. So we can see that there was a low June 20th, and then we've had this big divergence, ETH making a huge move up while Bitcoin dominance drop. And then if we look at Bitcoin, we can see that it's actually down, slightly. But so it's an interesting dynamic between these two. We can see that Bitcoin dominance was dropping rapidly right here, but the price of Bitcoin was actually going sideways as Ethereum pumped. So that's a different setup than when both of them are going down at the same time. So that's something that I look for quite a bit. So we're starting out just kind of on the high level. I may want to look a little closer at some of the actual coins. So let's just say give list of top 10 top cryptos. Okay, so it decided to look up some news. That's interesting. And then it got us all of these. Interesting. So it just went and pulled global crypto data. It searched for crypto, pulled some news articles, and then went and got the price. So now let's just say trends, short term and long term. So we want to see, where's price been moving? Are we above moving averages? So you can see it's using the growth tool, using the moving average tool, fetching all that data and bringing it back. So here we have the growth. You can see Bitcoin up huge over the 3-year. A little slower in the last month. You can see Ethereum has been moving in the last month, up 18% versus down -6 for ETH. We can also see some nice movement out of BNB. Ripple having a huge move, a 1-year return of 800%. That's ridiculous. Okay, we got ADA doing nothing. Wow, 92%. That sucks. Okay, and then we got, Polygon has pretty much been ripped a new one. The meme coins haven't really had a time yet because Bitcoin dominance has been so high and ETH has been stealing the show. But we do see Solana here having a really solid 3-year performance, but has been pretty flat the last year as it's been consolidating. So you can see we're below the 50-day moving average for Bitcoin, above the 200. So we're kind of in this middle ground of consolidation for Bitcoin, whereas ETH, really strong trends all around. Same with BNB. Ripple's following Bitcoin a little bit more closely. Cardano. Meme coins haven't really had a moment. Polygon, dead. Solana, looking pretty good. So let's look at, we'll do momentum. Just to get a sense of, are we overbought? Are we oversold? Like, where are we at in the range? So you can see we're pretty close to mid-range. You can see the blue bar here. We're about at 50%. So not overheated at all. So now I want to look at a few other things. So I'm actually going to come over here. We're going to look at the fear greed index. Will give us some more info on the sentiment. So you can see that the fear greed index is pretty low, kind of just been in this consolidation. So no worries there in terms of being overbought. If anything, people are not really paying much attention because they're becoming maybe complacent. So we'll also look at TVL. So the total value locked in DeFi has been interesting to watch. You can see it's up to, what, 300 billion, is that right? So, been a very interesting trend. If we look at that versus Ethereum, we can see the similarities, right? Because they pretty much have a very similar sort of activity, because it's total value locked mostly in ETH. But you can see sometimes one leads the other in interesting ways. So we can look at that, and then another thing that I would also look at is the ETH. We'll just do ETH Bitcoin ratio. So we want to see relative moves. You can see very strong over the last however long this has been. So 200 days, just perfect. I remember when this was very red, by the way. If we look at if we go back here, let's just look up ETH. So this ETH Bitcoin, this thing was a misery business for a very long time. Like, this thing had been ripping downward in price discovery in the wrong direction for quite some time. Yeah, we've had a very significant trend break after a very gnarly bear market. So it's definitely an interesting moment for ETH right now. It looks like it could be the beginning of something quite interesting. Whoops, so yeah, I think ETH Bitcoin, go back here. Yeah, so let's just do 5-year performance. We can compare that to ETH. Car. There we go. So you can see all this time while ETH was actually going up. So the green is ETH price, and it was actually going up, but the ETH Bitcoin ratio was just dropping over and over again. So even when ETH is going up, sometimes it still doesn't go up as much as Bitcoin, and it can have a lot more volatility. So you really want to track these ETH Bitcoin ratio moves because they really show you when altcoin season will be, and they give you a lot of hints about when smaller caps will have their time. So this is one that I certainly look at a lot. Let's look at also Sol. I think we've got, so these are some different strategies. So we'll do Sol USD, BTC. So these are return streams that we have set up. So let me just try this one out. So this is going to be the trend. Yeah, it's not the easiest pair to trade, the Sol Bitcoin one. But either way, it's an interesting situation for altcoins right now. So can we also look at some other things? What would be good? Sometimes you just give it scrappy messages like that and it'll give you some things that we can look at. Okay, build dashboard of those for top 5 crypto. So we'll see what it's going to do here. It's probably going to just start loading up tools and ripping. Yep, so it hit the ATR. Let's see what it's got going down here. Woo! Oh, it's doing signals. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. Give me all the data. Oh, my God. All right, so we got a lot to work with here. So let's just go up and see what we got here. So we got the ATR So ATR is just giving us a sense of the volatility. So you can see the ATR is 3%. So in the last 14 days, an average move for Bitcoin is about 3%. So if you were to buy Bitcoin, you could put a 2x ATR stop loss. So that'd put you at 6% risk. And then if you want to do 2x that, you could do 12%. So it's giving you, here's your stop loss, here's your entry, and here's your exit. So it's pulling that, it's giving us some info about the volatility. So you can see the ATR here for Ethereum is twice as much as Bitcoin. So twice the volatility. So it better be worth the extra risk. So we can look at things like risk-adjusted return too, which we'll look at later. So 4% for Binance Coin, Ripple 5.8. And as the market cap goes down and you get to these smaller caps, the ATR is going to go up. So you're seeing a 7% average move on the daily, which can be quite significant if you're buying something like this. All right, so we got some volume trends here. I don't want to go too deep into all this. So one thing, if you get a bunch of data back like this, one thing that you can do is you can just say, summarize key insights. And then we can get back a report that's giving us some more condensed insights, so we're not having to look through all that. BTC and ETH have strong months in October, July, and April. BTC in your lower bands. So overall, ETH and Bitcoin dominate trend and volume dynamics, but with higher correlation risk. Right, so correlation risk meaning that, let's go up here. I think it grabbed a correlation matrix. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see Bitcoin ETH has the highest correlation, 0.77. So buying Bitcoin is very similar to buying ETH. They're going to go up and down at the same time. Whereas if you get something more like ETH or maybe BNB, you start to get a lower correlation and therefore less concentration, so you can improve the diversification. Yeah, so BNB and ADA provide some diversification, but with extra volatility. So current momentum is bearish, so prudent risk management and timing is crucial. Seasonality and technical bands offer potential timing insights. So what is the best plan of action right now? Momentum is bearish across the board, signaling caution. Consider avoiding new longs near short-term highs. Okay, done. BTC near lower Bollinger Band could be a selective buying opportunity with a tight stop loss, given its steady volatility and volume support. Okay. ETH shows strong leadership, but is near the upper band, waiting for pullback or confirmation before entering. BNB in a technical overextended state, better to avoid or consider profit taking. So let me actually look at that one. So if we go up to BNB, it is in a sell state. So it had entered into this upper band and has exited and now is showing a sell signal. Interesting, but for Bitcoin, it's actually showing a buy signal. That's pretty interesting. So use ATR-based stops and profit targets to manage risk. Diversify exposure, considering correlation. Combine Bitcoin ETH with BNB or ADA to reduce risk. Watch seasonal windows like October or February for higher probability bullish setups. And follow cycle or SMA strategy on Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, and ADA as they update. Selectively accumulate BTC on dips. Watch ETH for correction entry. Avoid chasing BNB and maintain strict risk controls. All right, well, I would say that's not the worst advice I've been given. It didn't tell me to ape in. It said accumulate BTC on dips. Watch ETH for correction entry. Don't chase. All right, so let's just say create a final report. Final report of insights. Boom. All right, so I say create a final report. It emails me that report. So now let me pull up, just do this, pull up right here, and we got top 5 crypto email report. So this is how we can leverage this chat to drill down into a bunch of really interesting data and ultimately get a summary and an action plan going. And this is creating a permanent record of data that you can go back to later. So if you see this, we're saving everything to this chat. So we're able to then go back, and so you can think about this as a trading journal where you're really able to lay out your plans and pull the data and sort of have this one way of looking at it. So what I might do now is I might just say, okay, I'm holding ETH still. I have Sol as well. I'm not in Bitcoin. What should I do? Since you hold ETH, not Bitcoin, hold your current ETH position, avoid adding at current levels, look for a pullback or bullish confirmed signal. Hold Sol if you are comfortable with its volatility, consider setting a trailing stop loss based on its ATR 5 to 6% to protect gains. All right, maybe. Okay, so Bitcoin absence. Bitcoin is a favorable lower Bollinger Bands. Consider initiating a selective position of BTC using a tight ATR to limit downside. ETH and Sol provides exposure to strong altcoins. Interesting. Okay, I will continue to hold until trends significantly reverse. So get 77 SMA for both those. That's one that I really like for some reason. It's because the backtesting is actually really nice for those options. But yeah, so bullish on all those, so I'll just keep holding until, so we say hodl on. Continue to hodl your ETH. Bet. Alright, so that's a demo. That's how I've been using it to look at the crypto markets. There's one other thing that I will add here. So if we go to, just type in Bitcoin, so we can see different things here. And one of the data sets I like to look at is the commitment of traders. So here we can look at the COT, commitment of traders data, and this is showing what the commercial futures for Bitcoin are doing, which essentially is the big boys. They're the ones with the money. They're buying huge amounts of Bitcoin on futures contracts, so much that they have to report it through the COT report from the CFTC. So we can have this data to see where is the money flowing and how much are they buying, how much are they selling, and how are they moving the markets. So if we look at Bitcoin here, we can overlay Bitcoin in green and then also look at the COT data in blue. You can see we kind of flatlined here. We had a pretty significant drop, and then that has led to a consolidation in Bitcoin. So this was a leading indicator that we were watching. You know, as it fell and as it plunged, we had a chance to kind of front run that and avoid this downside volatility. So that's one that I really like to look at. You can also look at micro Bitcoin, which is going to show a more retail or a smaller size. So we can see they had a big moment here and kind of flattened out for now. And then there's also nano Bitcoin, which is an even smaller contract, which I don't know how liquid it is, but something that I look at. And then you can also look at Ether, cash settled. This is one thing you look at and you're like, oh God, what do they know? They've been really unloading. So they've been selling into this strength in Ethereum. I mean, given they are buying back more at a lower rate apparently, but definitely a red flag. You see the zero line about right here and has dropped significantly below that. So looking for some follow through on that. And there's going to be a lot of different things here that you can look at for data sets, but we won't get into that. So we'll get out of here. See you next time on the Blue Dot.